Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we've got another Star Collecting Age of Sigmar 3rd edition video for you, and today we're going to be looking at the Star Collecting box for Seraphon called Star Collecting Seraphon. This is one of two different box sets available for Seraphon in the Star Collecting variation. The other one is of course the Star Collecting Skinks box, but this one is the Star Collecting Seraphon box, and this one, unlike the Skink one, which you would expect focuses on Skinks, this one focuses on the Saurus half of the army. So let's talk a little bit about the contents of this box set first before we do anything else in the video. So for starters, we have a Saurus Old Blood Scar Veteran on Carnosaur model, which can also be built as a Skink Oracle on Troglodon. For this particular box set, I really do recommend building one of these Saurus variations. It combines a lot well with the rest of the stuff in the army, much better than the Skink Oracle on Troglodon. Though, if you do pick up a second one of this box alongside your first one, there's definitely no reason to not build a Skink Oracle on Troglodon. He's a cool wizard monster. Awesome. Something nice and different, and not something Seraphon have a load of other options in. But Saurus Old Blood on Scar Veteran or the Old Blood, they're pretty much combat heroes. They want to charge in, go do as much damage. Those Carnosaurs can be extremely good in combat. They've got some really good power to them. And for their size and points, they're really decent. They're definitely not massive hitting monsters. They're not going to do anything like a Terrorgeist or be the big hitters in the game, but they will punch well above their weight. And if you can get the right buffs off throughout playing the game with them, they can punch well above their weight. We also get 12 Saurus Warriors in this box set as well. Saurus Warriors are a baseline Saurus troop. They come with either hand weapons or spears, and they have the shields as well. They've got some cool rules around them where their shields mean they ignore 1 point of rend, and they've also got the ability to, be placed in different size units. In smaller units, the clubs or the mauls are definitely the way to go, but in larger blocks, spears become much more useful. Having these two weapon options on the same unit allows you to build units of different sizes and have them work better in different sizes due to the way you've equipped them. And then we've got 8 Saurus Knights in this box set as well. Saurus Knights are your Saurus Cavalry. Once again, we've got a couple of different cool weapon options. I do think the spears with their mortal wound potential are really cool on the charge, though you've got a little bit more potential for a more protracted fight if you're using the clubs. Now, the interesting thing about this particular box set is it does give you a couple of Saurus Warriors and a couple of Saurus Knights spare in addition to your models. And this means you can actually go to town converting up and building a couple of the different Saurus characters available to you with this box set. With the spare bits you're going to get in that Saurus Old Blood on Carnosaur kit as well, you can combine this up and make some really cool conversions. Things like the Saurus Scar Veteran on Carnosaur is what model you can build, the Saurus Sunblood, or even an Astroth Bearer. If you do a little bit of converting with some of your banners to make a nice cool big banner model, you can do some really cool conversions here. I definitely recommend going and checking out online. There'll be a bunch of people that have built up cool conversions with this box set. But now we're going to quickly look at the terrain piece for the army, talk a little bit about that before we move on to looking at how we can expand this faction. And so, the Seraphon have a terrain feature known as the Realm Shaper Engine. This giant lizard man temple is an awesome terrain feature, probably one of my favourite ones in the entire game. Now, for starters, there's actually 2 ways you can build this. You can either build it in this overgrown way you see pictured here, or it actually has a sort of brand new built clean version of the model as well, available in the same kit, literally by just flipping a bunch of the parts around. A really cool design. Now, its ability, so first of all, it's a defensible terrain feature. So we've got 15 models that can be put inside this scenery piece here. So you can defend it with a couple of your models, particularly good for keeping some of your wizards alive. And then it's got a cool ability. So in your hero phase, you pick another terrain feature on the battlefield, and then pretty much based on how far away that terrain feature is from a Realm Shaper engine, you roll some dice, and you do some mortal wounds to units near that terrain feature. A cool little bit of extra mortal wounds. You're starting to see mortal wounds pop up a lot in the army. We've already talked about some of the other things as well. And we're going to talk about some more mortal wounds soon. And so, where do we go to next? building on to what we've already got for our box set. So for starters, once again, Seraphon have a ton of cool monsters in their army. We've obviously already seen the Saurus Carnosaur kit, which we can then go and get again if we want. Another Start Collecting box is a great way to go and get another one to build up a different variation of that kit. We've also got the Stegodon and the Bastillodon as well, which are two other monsters available to the Seraphon army. And there's a really cool sub-faction called the Thunder Lizards that allows us to build monster-heavy Seraphon armies. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely go and give that a check out. Now, Saurus, as mentioned, have a ton of cool little character models. They've got Old Bloods on foot, they've got Scar Veterans on Carnosaurs, they've got the Sunblood, which I've got pictured up here, they've got the Ashtoreth Bearer and other models as well. What's cool about that original Start Collecting box, like I said, you've got all these cool parts, but you also have these cool pre-made models if converting is not something you're confident in, to go pick up and add some extra Saurus characters to your army. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here is two units that actually go hand in hand together. The first one is the Slann Starseer. This is a major focal point for the Seraphon army. He's a fantastic caster, giving himself bonuses, the ability to dispel across the board, the ability to sort of see through a bunch of other skink models, to cast through them and use them as like his arcane vassals. And in general, he's just a really strong caster. In fact, the best one Seraphon can get, and one of the best ones in the game. Add on to that, you've got a fantastic named character variation called Lord Croak, which is an absolutely amazing looking model. You can build on top of that and just get a really good caster for your army. Now, Saurus Guard, and in particular there's a Saurus character with them as well that are part of the bodyguard unit for Slann Starseers. They can hang around your Slann Starseer and sort of take wounds for him, really giving them good protection. Add on to that, they're pretty much an elite version of your Saurus Warriors. They've got better attacks, they've got halberds, so they've got reach on top of that as well. They generally will do a little bit more damage than your regular Saurus Warriors and stick around for that little bit longer as well. A really solid unit to be playing with. But anyway, we're going to go now and we're going to look at a little sample army list we've thrown together to talk about all the different units in this video and put together a little army list for you to start out working towards, or at least get an idea of how to build up a little army to start your adventure with Seraphon into Warhammer Age of Sigmar 3rd edition. And so here we have a little sample army list for our Seraphon army using the Start Collecting Seraphon box as our base for the army. Now we're going to be playing in Coalesce Seraphon, and in this particular part of the Seraphon army we get unmodified bravery, where we always use our base bravery, we can't be modified, and we also are -1 damage towards us, so all our units count damage 2 as damage 1, damage 3 as damage 2, etc. Really cool ability. Now we also are going to be in the Coados Claw subfaction of the Coalesced, and what this gives us is the ability Savagery Incarnate, which we add 1 to hit rolls for all our Saurus units when we charge. We also have a command ability we can use in the army that we get this ability even if we haven't charged for 1 unit in the army we're using the command ability on. This is really cool because obviously that ability can be stacked with all out attack, meaning we can get 2 units at +1 to hit, or even the same unit +1 to hit, +2 to hit if we want, to negate any effects against us. So some cool play there. Now we've got our Saurus Old Blood on Carnosaur. He's going to be our general, and he's going to have the command trait Dominant Predator. What this does is each time we use a command point to issue a command to a friendly Saurus unit, on a 4+, we receive a command point back. So we've got a lot of command point regeneration here, hoping to make sure we can keep up all those combos. And we're going to use that sort of ability in line here, and why we have gone for the Saurus Sunblood as a secondary character. Now this character is the one pictured in the slide just before, the one with the giant shield. He's got 6 attacks, which is why he's taking an artifact, Eviscerating Blade. On 6 to hit, he does 2 mortal wounds. He's got more chance of doing that than the Old Blood on Carnosaur, so that's why we've given the artifact to him. But he's also in there because his command ability allows us to pick an enemy unit and make our units +1 to wound that particular enemy unit. So this can combine really well, giving multiple of our units +1 to hit, and then 1 enemy unit we get +1 to wound against, sort of picking a target and going for it, just taking apart 1 enemy unit at a time across the battlefield as we move together. Now, battle line wise, we've gone for 2 units of 10 Saurus Warriors. I'd recommend building these with clubs. Just spears don't get that much value until you start having larger units. And then for rounding out the army, 5 Saurus Knights. Equip them however you want, but I like the Lancers on the unit. I find they're better, but it's completely up to you what you want to do. This army does come in a little bit cheaper. and it's about 35 points off the 750 point mark. So what we're going to be able to do with that is get a triumph and hopefully get one guaranteed for us here. And so we'd definitely go for the reroll charge, I think, on this one. This is going to make sure when we use all those abilities to buff up our own units that we're going to be able to get that charge and we're not failing it. Now, the last thing is needing a particular grand strategy, and I think the one we're going to go for with this particular army, I think the grand strategy that best benefit this is probably going for having a battle line unit survive the battle. With Coalesce, they're pretty survivable, so I think having one of them stick around is a really good shout for this army. But if you've picked up the Start Collecting Seraphon box set, let us know what you've built it up like, how you've been doing with it, what you're doing with your brand new Seraphon army. Love to hear from you all. Let us know in the comments below how your Seraphon are going if you've just picked them up for Age of Sigmar 3rd edition. Well, thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn those bell notifications on so you don't miss a thing when we upload on the channel. Now, next up, you can also come and chat more with us on our Discord server, which we've got a link to in the description of the video. And we've also got links there as well to our merch store on Teespring. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members and in other ways. Thank you to our Patreon members: Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shop First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, MJ, and Dynet226. And thank you to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, TrueRaya12, Vinny, Lock Lorick, Matt Mollum, and Becca Kinska Groupie. A special thank you as well to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing art for the channel, and to Xmorphic, who does a fantastic job at helping moderate our Discord server and keep everything nice and working there. If you'd like to help support the channel in a way like we've just seen, you can do so by finding the links to both Patreon and YouTube members in the description of the video. Thank you all for watching again though. Stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.